Welcome back to another episode on Coffee with Craner. And today I'm with Stephen MacKenzie, President and CEO of Invest Windsor-Essex. But this isn't the first time I've had Invest Windsor-Essex on the show. I actually had the pleasure of speaking with Akash and Ed from the Innovation Center that has the virtual reality cave at the, what's the full name? Automobility
An innovation center.
Yes. So that was a cool interview. I actually did that live from the VR cave. And this time it's virtually with the head of Invest Windsor-Essex. And if you don't know Stephen, he's a big deal. But he was born and raised in Halifax, Nova Scotia, received his Bachelor of Commerce and Marketing from Dalhousie University, also an MBA, and really has spent over 27 years in economic development and a number of organizations places in Connecticut and now, locally in Windsor-Essex. And, just a recent thing, he's, one of the individuals that was key in helping secure the $8 billion battery plant investment in this area. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that and also more about a role in economic development. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Lyndon. Happy to be here.
Awesome. And before we get started, I want to talk about coffee. I know you have a coffee near you. Where in Windsor-Essex, besides at home, is your favorite place for coffee?
Well, I'd have to say the Coffee Exchange on Olette. It's just around the corner from where I work and where I live. And so usually in there at least once a day. Great staff, great product, and really enjoy it.
Very cool. Very cool. No, it's good to know. And, moving into my first, I guess you could say, real question, how did this amazing career in economic development start for you?
Well, I really started thinking about it, Lyndon, back in 1990, 91. I actually took my MBA in Brussels, Belgium. So in 1989, 90. And really got exposed to international marketing, international business. And so I knew, what I wanted to do from then on was going to have some relation to that. And as it turned out, I ended up staying after my studies for another 3 years and worked there in market research and marketing. And to that end, had clients, in food industry, and was going to trade shows to help support them. And then I happened to run into some people from the province of Nova Scotia that were there that had come over with their companies to help them learn to be international. I said, and that's kind of put the bug in my brain at that time that, with my domestic experience to date in banking and whatnot, then with the international MBA and the contacts in Europe and the understanding of different cultures, I said, hey, I could see myself as some sort of consultant or, a government employee that was helping companies to get export ready or, investment ready. And then when I moved back to Nova Scotia, about 2 years after I moved back, there was a job posting at the Nova Scotia Economic Renewal Agency. It was known as at that time. And I was the successful candidate. And it's been about 27 years later, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Now, it sounds like you've been really in a bunch of different countries, and whether it's studying abroad, working in the States, things like that. I mean, besides Windsor-Essex being your favorite place to have worked, have there been any, I don't know, fascinating things that you learned from working in those different areas that you've really brought to the Windsor-Essex region?
Well, I think, I joke, but it's kind of not a joke. There's not too many advantages to getting older, but one is, you collect a little bit of experience along the way. And interestingly enough, as I tell you, Canada is my first, third, and fifth country. Canada, Belgium, Canada, United States, Canada. So that's part of, I think, certainly part of my resume when I was considering the job here. Was the fact that the experience here in this amazing binational region, to have the U.S. experience in economic development, to have experience in Europe and a Canadian experience, it just seemed like everything coming together in this. And so I think it was a real asset well, and it worked. They hired me. So so far so good.
And how long have you been in Windsor-Essex now?
It'll be 6 years,
Okay.
the end of August. Yeah.
What do you think? Where do you see our region heading? Some big picture stuff that you've noticed as, a lead in economic development.
Yeah, I think we are on an amazing roll right now. You mentioned in your introduction, we had that what I call the 5.5 year overnight success. Of landing that the battery plant. For the time being, I think the largest one in North America, $5 billion Canadian investment. 4.5 million square feet. Just imagine 4.5 million square feet of state-of-the-art equipment and technology and building the batteries for the cars of the future. We're really here in Windsor-Essex experiencing a successful transition from automotive to automobility, which includes automotive, but of course all the technology that comes along with it. So I dare say with these recently announced successes, the Stellantis success, of course, the announcement coming back to put a new vehicle platform in the Windsor assembly plant. That's $8 billion in the last couple of months, and for an area that has 400,000 people, 2% of Ontario's population, but has 20% of the manufacturing output. That's quite amazing. And so I without exaggeration, I say we've secured, all of us together, the Windsor, the county, the councils, our partners, the university, the college, and all of our other economic development organizations. We've secured the base for a future for the generation, and we'll continue to build. We've already had an announcement for a supply chain company, which was terrific. We think we're going to have a couple more in the coming weeks and months. And I'm also, we're getting inquiries from other industries. As a matter of fact, we've got 3 new, FDI clients coming in next week from different countries around the world. So it's extraordinary, the pace and the activity now. But the fantastic thing is it's securing, the economic health of the region, which secures the quality of life health for the region. So I think as wonderful as our region is, and as a great a place it is to live and work, I think we're gonna all really work really hard to even make that better.
Totally agree. And I mean, really exciting times right now that we're in. And to just, I guess, take it a step back to when you first entered Windsor-Essex and started this job, and there was no battery plant, there was nothing like that. What was your initial thoughts from an ECDev lens in Windsor-Essex? Where were we at that time? And, how has that progressed to now, I guess?
Well, that's a good question, Lyndon. It's interesting. We're economic developers. Our product is a place marketing. It's a piece of geography, and it's the geography, its assets, and its related assets. So when I first started studying the region, when I was involved in the search process, I was just amazed at the assets, the industry strengths in automotive and advanced manufacturing, logistics, warehousing, the greenhouse, the agriculture. So one of the first things that appealed to me was, it wasn't, a one trick pony, right? There was economic diversity, which is terrific. It's just like your stock portfolio. You might have a really good performing stock, but you want to have a few other ones in case there's a dip. So I really liked that point. It had, a university and a college, very key. It's really hard. It's really hard to be a tech-driven, innovation-driven economic development organization or strategy if you don't have that post-secondary support, and we have that. And I thought, and again, no criticisms to people who were here and are still here, but when I looked at the performance, I said, okay, this is not matching up. There's a disconnect, and maybe, it looks like a good opportunity that with that number of assets and positive things, I think perhaps we could help to increase the performance of FDI, increase the number of existing companies we're helping, increase the number of companies we help to start. And I'm happy to say, blessed with an amazing team here at Invest Windsor-Essex, the most dedicated and passionate group of people I've ever had the pleasure to work with. And together, we're enjoying some good success.
And you mentioned your team. What's your team built of? Like, what is, for those who are learning about Invest Windsor-Essex or know you more about, as the Economic Development Corporation, what's your team working on? What are the roles? What are those types of things?
Right. I appreciate that question because it's a well-known fact in our field that foreign direct investment and investment attraction really is the headline grabber of all of our activities that we do. But we have 5 departments here. We are a full-service economic development corporation. We have Small Business and Entrepreneurship Center, which works with hundreds of individuals each year to help them with the training and advice and direction, and in some cases, grant funding, to start a business. We have our business retention and expansion team, which works with companies who are already here. Of course, we want to bring companies in, but we want our companies here to expand, to invest, to hire people. And so we've got a wonderful team working on that. Then we've got the Automobile and Innovation Center. That's kind of our innovation-driven arm as we help the transition from automotive, the region, to automobility. And so you've had a demo of the cave, and you see some of the things that we're bringing in there and making available to our companies to help them, develop a technology. We have marketing that promotes our region, but also supports all of the other departments. And then, of course, investment attraction. So I appreciate the opportunity to give a shout out to our other departments who day in and day out are achieving fantastic results as well. And it's terrific because, one of the things we tell our FDI clients is, once we get you here, we just don't abandon you and say, well, good luck, right? We have a whole team, that you'll work with. And it's quite appreciated by our clients.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. And you mentioned retention. And that's a big topic. And I think with all the exciting news that's happening, we have a hospital, a new bridge, a massive manufacturing facility being built, and so many other great businesses that are being developed across Windsor-Essex. How do we, from an economic development perspective, what are some strategies in place to retain that talent?
Well, talent is the key. For our companies coming in, for our existing companies, we are going to have to work. Talent is a key. It's a key pillar in the Windsor work strategy, for example. I mentioned before, we partner with our post-secondary institutions, very important. We work and do things like manufacturing day with the industry and with high schools. But there will be, talent will be one of the key things that we'll be working on to make sure that we have that pipeline. We'll need to recruit talent from outside the region. But as I said, we're marketing a place, right? And that place is pretty good. It's a wonderful quality of life, big city amenities across the river with smaller community prices. It's a great mix. So, and then on the actual retention of the company, you mentioned the big projects. Well, we want to make sure that our existing companies have the opportunity to supply product or services, to the companies as they come in. And we're planning some activities, supplier show, supplier day. We're collecting information on our website. There's a page on our website for companies that might be listening to this. If they're interested, we're collecting all expressions of interest for companies that would like to work with the battery factory, for example. So, doing what we can to make sure that companies that are here continue to grow and thrive, and keep everything healthy.
And no, I'm glad you mentioned the student part and the relationships with university and college. And I think for my show being, somewhat geared towards young professionals, I really want to talk about why it's so important to stay in Windsor-Essex. And I know, as an individual, all the great things that this region offers, and why I want to continue to make this my home for years to come. But what has been, I guess, if we could talk about that, what would your advice be to a young professional that's trying to live the GTA dream? What would be your advice to keep them to stay?
Yeah. Well, it's a global competition for talent. So it's not just competing with the GTA and Vancouver and Montreal and Halifax, but you put your best case forward. Do I have an opportunity for a rewarding career? Yeah, we've got, this battery project there's going to be 2,500 to 3,000 jobs there. Engineers, scientists, chemists, you name it. So are there opportunities for logistics, warehousing, transportation, financial services? We've got across the street, we've got Edison Financial and Rocket Innovation that are well over 300 people now. It's we have to get our story out there, and understand that there's opportunity. I mean, if people want to go away, it's kind of a rite of passage. Sometimes people need to, they feel they're missing something in the world. They have to go try Toronto or somewhere. But, we want to make sure they know that if they want to stay here, because there's a rewarding job and a good quality of life and an affordable quality of life, that's available to them. And what we do see is a number over the years, a number of folks that grew up here, went to Toronto for the experience, for example. Perhaps they got married, perhaps they started thinking of a family and looking at some of the prices in Toronto and the lifestyle. And they said, hey, where we grew up wasn't so bad. We could have this much house for this much money, and it's safe, and might even have a grandparent or two to do some babysitting, right? And we can always go to Toronto on the weekends. So that's part of what we're going to be promoting, is that full package. Ability to have a wonderful job, an innovative, tech-driven job, but also enjoy the quality of life and all our assets. I was at the Tourism Windsor-Essex Peely Island AGM today, and just a good reminder of all the amazing assets, which I consider quality of life assets, just phenomenal for our region.
Yes, exactly. And no, I mean, there's so many great things that, myself wanting to keep me in this region. And, I think you mentioned pretty much, all of them that come to mind. And, just even thinking about the quality of life and, the green space available, the access to the waterfront. Detroit is only 5 minutes away. That depends how backed up the border is. But no, there's lots to celebrate in this area. And speaking of celebrating, I want to go to my next topic. And for the amount of details that you are able to share, what kind of work really goes into place to land this massive LG Stellantis investment in this area?
Well, certainly with our team and our partners, everybody had a role to play. Again, our role, we're the place marketers. We're promoting the assets, the business case of the region. I think it's one of the good analogies here, Lyndon, is the iceberg principle. Mm-hmm. What you see in the ocean, no matter how big it is only 10%. The rest of the 90% is below the water. And so there's a lot of that research done, understand the industry trends, understand, one research to see, first of all, what type of industries, do we have a strong business case for? And from what countries, what geographic areas? And then do the research. We commissioned research to say, what are the trends and what's the business? What are they looking for? What's the important situation? Does it need to be a supply chain or, end user market? And so understanding it and then targeting. And the key is, can you actually generate leads? And and I mentioned my team, I'll mention them again, just phenomenal, to offset some of the leads that come in through, Invest Ontario and Invest Canada. We generated some of our own leads. At one point, we were talking to 6 different battery plants, believe it or not, companies, and understanding. And one of the things I'm proud of is we had the data. You can imagine, Lyndon, you know, someone's going to make a $5 billion investment. You can imagine the due diligence. You imagine the risk on those decision makers' heads from their boards of directors and things if they make a mistake. So, you know, getting the right information, getting it to them quickly, making sure it's accurate, client relations, working with our partners. We worked hand in hand with the city of Windsor, with the county of Essex when they were involved in it, with the Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade from the province, from Invest Canada. It was a monumental undertaking, but you know, we were ready, and you know, we had shovel-ready sites. So you know, you have to have a site. It has to be shovel-ready. You have to have the data. We could demonstrate that we could get the talent that was so important that I mentioned. So, and building rapport again. You know, my team, they're so passionate. They care about their clients. They care about the community. And so we've had every single major FDI client we've had has made that comment, many of them publicly, that we feel at home here. Yeah. We feel like we're part of a family. We feel like, you know, people are working for us. And when they suggest something, it's in our best interest. And it's true. You know, it's nice of them to say it. So an enormous amount of work. It was, you know, counting the time to do the research and things, 2.5 years, you know, a time from when we first engaged with LG Stellantis, which is now Nexstar, probably 10 months, 11 months, and site visits and hosting site visits and hosting the executive team, then hosting the HR team, then hosting the build team. And at any given point, knowing that if something didn't line up, you know, you could be eliminated. So just an amazing experience. And just thank goodness we all worked together, the Windsor, the council, province, feds, post-secondaries, everybody was involved, everybody contributed, and together we were successful. So it's quite a wonderful best practice study, I think, for other regions.
Yeah, I could see it going in a textbook where it's, you know, talking about how Windsor landed the $5 billion investment and the strategy that went behind it. I think that would be very insightful. And now fast forwarding to a little bit into the spring, almost summer. I mean, the weather feels like it's the middle of summer right now, but hasn't quite started yet. What are you excited about in 2022? What's your team really pumped about for this region?
Well, I tease my team and I tease my board of directors and I say, you know, we've had to widen the column on the Excel sheet to give you our metrics now, you know, but we've had a tremendous start to the year, as you know, but we're not resting on laurels. I can tell you that. We have new research underway. For example, we're going to pursue another auto-related industry, hydrogen, which is an emerging industry. So we're going to explore that and make sure and see what the opportunities are. We have a small FDI campaign targeting tech businesses in Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana starting next week. And we've got everything, all of the media selected, the support, the website where responses, and talking about our case. You know, we've had such a success with Edison Financial and Rocket Innovation. You know, a company that, you know, they didn't pull up stakes in the U.S. and come here. They said to expand here, it's win-win. It's win for the home company. So we're taking that message on the road starting next week. So we're going after, you know, tech companies, whether it be fintech, of course, automobility again, you know, cybersecurity, you name it, we'll be going after it. We'll also, you know, our agriculture and agri-food continues to grow. And so we've got some leads from there. And I'm very thrilled to be able to say, you know, we have an extremely robust pipeline of leads, of company leads. And we have a really robust pipeline of existing companies that have approached our BR&E team about assistance because considering expansion. So we're not going to slow down one bit. So.
Well, I can imagine you have your plate full, and it's good to know that it's, people think of right now, all they're thinking about is LG and Stellantis, but like you mentioned, there's so many other things that are in the pipeline, and it sounds like you hinted at some good news maybe in the coming months or this year. So I'm excited to hear about that, and I'm just genuinely as a young person excited for the future of this region, 2025, and beyond when things are built. So it's exciting to see all the great work that Invest Windsor-Essex does to attract, foreign direct investment and to retain our talent. I mean, it's important that organizations like Invest Windsor-Essex are in this community and really servicing this area to improve it. And Stephen, I want to thank you for coming on the show and giving us the behind the scenes look at this exciting world of ECDEV.
My pleasure, Lyndon. Anytime.
Thank you. And those watching, if you're watching now or watching later, you can find everything on coffeewithcraner.com. Appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you soon.
Okay.